The Prince is widely recognized as one of the most influential political treatises of all time. It challenges conventional notions of morality in politics and argues that rulers should prioritize their own interests and the stability of the state. Machiavelli's ideas on leadership, power, and governance have had a profound impact on the field of political science. His pragmatic approach to politics continues to be studied and debated today. In the book, Leviathan, Thomas Hobbes introduces several key concepts that shape his ideas about society and government. These include the social contract, the state of nature, and absolute monarchy. These concepts are essential for understanding how Hobbes envisions a functioning society and the role of authority within it. Let's explore each of these ideas in detail. Plato's The Republic is a seminal work in the field of political thought, exploring various concepts that continue to shape our understanding of governance. One of the central ideas discussed in this work is the concept of justice and its role in creating a just society. Plato argues that justice is not just a matter of obeying laws, but rather, it involves a harmonious balance between the soul and the state. In his ideal state, philosopher kings are the rulers, as they possess the wisdom and knowledge necessary for effective governance. Plato believes that philosophers, due to their intellectual capacity and moral virtue, are uniquely suited to guide the state and make decisions that benefit society as a whole. The key principle of communism, as outlined in The Communist Manifesto, is the abolition of private property. According to Marx and Engels, private ownership of resources and means of production leads to social inequalities and class divisions. They argue that the concentration of wealth in the hands of a few individuals perpetuates exploitation and injustice. In a communist society, all property would be collectively owned and managed for the benefit of all, creating a more equal and fair society. Marx and Engels critique capitalism for its inherent inequality and exploitation of the working class. They argue that capitalism leads to the alienation of workers from their labor, as they are treated as mere commodities in the pursuit of profit. The competitive nature of capitalism also results in economic crises and instability. Marx and Engels highlight the contradictions of capitalism, where the accumulation of wealth for the few is achieved through the exploitation of the many. They see capitalism as a system built on exploitation and call for its overthrow. Marx and Engels call for a proletarian revolution, in which the working class rises up against the bourgeoisie to seize control of the means of production. They argue that the working class, as the majority in society, has the power to overthrow capitalism and establish a communist society. The revolution is seen as a necessary and inevitable outcome of the contradictions and conflicts within capitalism. Marx and Engels believe that only through a revolution can the working class emancipate themselves and create a classless society. They envision a society where resources are collectively owned and distributed according to need. Let us begin by discussing de Tocqueville's observations on American democracy. He believed that it was a unique and remarkable system of government, characterized by extraordinary levels of political participation and engagement among its citizens. He noted the robustness of democratic institutions and the checks and balances that prevent the concentration of power. Overall, de Tocqueville saw American democracy as a successful experiment with great potential for the future. However, he also identified several strengths and weaknesses of this system. Now let's discuss the strengths of American democracy. One of its key strengths is the emphasis on individualism. Americans highly value personal freedom and the opportunity to pursue their own goals and aspirations. This individualistic spirit contributes to innovation, creativity, and ultimately, economic growth and prosperity. Another strength is the presence of a vibrant civil society, which includes various associations and organizations that promote social cohesion. These civil associations play a crucial role in addressing societal issues and encouraging democratic participation. Moving on to the weaknesses of American democracy, one issue is the potential for majority tyranny. In a democracy, the majority holds power, but there is a risk that it may oppress the rights and interests of minorities. Another weakness is the influence of money in politics and the disproportionate power of special interest groups. These factors can undermine the fairness and equality of the democratic process. Furthermore, there are challenges in ensuring political accountability and combating corruption. Lastly, let's analyze de Tocqueville's insights on the role of civil associations in a democratic society. He emphasized the vital importance of these associations. They bring people together, promote civic engagement, and facilitate social cooperation. Civil associations help build a sense of community and solidarity, which are crucial for the proper functioning of a democracy. They also act as a safeguard against concentrated power and give a voice to marginalized groups. In summary, civil associations play an integral role in preserving and reinforcing democratic values and principles. The purpose and significance of the Federalist Papers in the context of American political history are of utmost importance. These 85 essays written by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay were published between 1787 and 1788. They were specifically published in order to convince the people of New York to ratify the newly proposed United States Constitution. These essays were highly influential in shaping public opinion and understanding of the Constitution, providing a detailed explanation and defense of its principles and compromises. Madison, Hamilton, and Jay argued that the Constitution was necessary for the stability and success of the United States government. They highlighted the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation and how the Constitution would address those weaknesses. They also emphasized the importance of a strong central government while protecting the rights and liberties of the individual states. Overall, the Federalist Papers played a crucial role in the ratification of the Constitution and continue to be regarded as one of the most important documents in American political history. Mill's influential work, On Liberty, explores the significance of individual freedom and the constraints on state power. He argues for the essentiality of free speech, as it fosters knowledge and protects against tyranny. Additionally, he delves into the topic of government intervention and advocates for limiting it to cases where harm to others can be prevented. Mill introduces the harm principle, which states that the interference with liberty can only be justified when it prevents harm to others. His arguments on these topics have had a profound impact on the understanding of individual liberty. Overall, Mill's work underscores the need to safeguard individual freedom while recognizing the necessity of certain limitations on state power. In The Road to Serfdom, Hayek critiques socialism by arguing that it ultimately leads to a loss of individual liberty. He contends that socialism concentrates power in the hands of a few and that centralized planning is ineffective and often results in unintended consequences. As such, he defends classical liberalism as a system that values individual freedom and encourages spontaneous order in the economy. Hayek defends classical liberalism in The Road to Serfdom by highlighting its core principles. He emphasizes that classical liberalism values individual liberty and promotes spontaneous order in the economy. Hayek advocates for a free market system that allows individuals to make their own choices and engage in voluntary exchanges, as he believes this fosters economic prosperity and preserves individual freedom. Hayek cautions against the dangers of centralized government control in The Road to Serfdom. He warns that it can easily be abused, leading to totalitarianism and the suppression of individual freedom. Hayek believes that a system with checks and balances and limited government intervention is essential to safeguard individual liberties and prevent the concentration of power. In her pioneering work titled The Second Sex, Simone de Beauvoir thoroughly analyzes the issues of feminism and gender inequality. Delving into the social, political, and cultural factors contributing to the oppression of women, de Beauvoir emphasizes the urgent need to dismantle the existing patriarchal system. She highlights the significance of understanding the intricate nuances of our culture that perpetuate gender inequality. Through her thought-provoking analysis, de Beauvoir advocates for gender equality in all spheres of life. Her work continues to serve as a significant influence on modern feminist movements. In The Origins of Totalitarianism, Arendt delves into the rise of totalitarian regimes. She explores the origins and characteristics of these regimes, focusing on their use of propaganda, manipulation, and the suppression of dissent. Arendt emphasizes the role of charismatic leaders in the rise of totalitarianism and discusses the tactics they employ to maintain power and control over the population. Arendt's analysis of power in totalitarian regimes highlights the collective submission and obedience of the population. She argues that power within these regimes is derived from violence, fear, and the manipulation of information. Arendt introduces the concept of the banality of evil, where ordinary individuals participate in acts of violence and oppression. She emphasizes that power is not solely held by leaders, but also by the enabling actions of the population. In The Origins of Totalitarianism, Arendt explores the erosion of individual freedoms under totalitarian regimes. She discusses how these regimes suppress political opposition and exert control over various aspects of individuals' lives. Totalitarianism aims to eliminate dissent and enforce conformity. Arendt highlights the consequences of this erosion, including the loss of autonomy and the devaluation of human life. Her analysis offers a critical examination of the impact of totalitarianism on the human experience.